Piyush, I can still see blue blotches on my face.
Yeah, I can. I was wondering.
Good morning, everyone.
What is this?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ritu Jolly, and we are live from the IIHM Kolkata studio. We have a very, very special guest with us today, a veteran hotelier, a sharp thinker, a great planner, an animal lover, Mr. Mansoor Adil, who is the Senior Vice President of Sarovar Hotels and Resorts. Welcome to this session, Mr. Adil.
Ritu, thank you so much. I am delighted to be not only just that you are there, because for the benefit of all the students who are there online, Ritu's been my old colleague for many years, and more than a colleague, she's also a friend across over all these several years. So I have sort of seen her move from a young hotelier who just began her career to get across onto these roles. And interacting across as far as the students are concerned is something that I love to do with the youngsters, because you folks are all the future of any industry. And those of you who are in the hospitality industry, obviously that's the industry that we are with. Obviously, you're that much more closer. And when she spoke to me across about that they wanted me to have a little word with you, so I said, fine, I would. Primarily because these are times that forget about all of you. We've also never seen this in our lifetime, and none of us could even, in our remotest of imagination, think that something of this sort would have occurred. Now, there's a lot of negativity which has been on the air, and one can understand this because your whole life changes. Suddenly, everything has become a standstill. You can't see the future. You don't know what's going to happen. This just takes me back to a very old song, which a lot of you must have also heard, which was sung by this American singer called Doris Day, which says, "Que sera, sera. What will be, will be." That's really what life is all about. Life is in a constant state of evolving. Things keep changing. Earlier days, the change used to be very gradual. With time and with over exploitation of the earth, and we are responsible for all this ourselves as human beings to have brought things to this level. But it is very, very fast changing. And this change has been faster than what we've ever seen in our lives. We've all seen how things changed in the past. Earlier, the way, if I take the example of hotels, that how hotels used to operate, how hotels operate now, work, departments, the processes were very, very different when we began our career. I began my career way back in the year 1981 when I joined the Oberoi Hotels as a management trainee. That's the Oberoi School. And while the basics are all the same, that doesn't change because the ABCD and the formulation of the sentence is the same. But the way you write literature changed across over the years. Shakespeare wrote literature in a certain way, and as and when over generations and over years and over decades, things changed. Literature got a complete new meaning. And then with the new evolving age, when people started texting, the whole concept about emphasis on spelling, they said, why should we look at spelling? We've got to get the message across. So this is all an evolutionary process. And we've seen it in our lives. All of you have seen it. You're a part of the generation which has seen this very, very fast change happening. So you should not, in the first place, get scared by something of this sort. You are all at a stage where you're starting or looking forward to starting your professional careers. Yes, it's not the most comfortable of times to do so, but my advice to you would be the following. Drop the negativity. When you start looking at things in a positive perspective, you start attracting positive energy that comes across to you. Very often people say that think positive. And this is the time when you all must start thinking positive. As a part of the process of evolution, how things have changed, in my days, when the industry was very different, hotels were known to be perhaps the worst paymasters. They may not be the very best today, but they certainly are not like what they were in our good old days. And often people used to wonder that why would people take up that as a profession. I remember when I joined as a management trainee with the Oberoi Hotel, which even in those days was a very prestigious thing. I was just out of St. Stephen's College and I joined, and I used to get a stipend of 2,000 rupees a month. Now, if you look back on 2,000 rupees, even then was a pittance. And in that, I had to pay for my paying guest accommodation. I had to pay for my food, but we still balanced. And I had to pay for my two-wheeler because that's the way it was. And when you walked into the Oberoi school, everybody thought that you were Mr. Oberoi himself, and that's the way they made you believe. So you would sort of land up leading a kind of lifestyle that was far beyond what your stipend would afford you. But we went across and we went. Today, the industry has changed. Remuneration has become much better. Working conditions also have become much better across the industry. And this is happening time and time again. And this has also happened out of a sense of realization that's happened within the industry, because even until when I was in a senior position with the industry operationally, uh, one thing that used to hurt me, and I came back into the industry out of a corporate banking background, which was in the developed world, in the UK, in Hong Kong. And it used to disturb me a lot when industrial trainees used to come, and the way they were kicked around, they were just an extra hand to be doing all the dirty work. And you just did not treat them like human beings. And that was very, very disturbing. Now, that was at that point of time. And this I'm talking about the 1990s. I'm not talking about the 1980s or the 70s when it was perhaps was even worse. So, and that has all changed and evolved. Today, you see companies, hotel companies, service industry come. Forget about just hotel, because today your role is not just limited across to a professional role with the hotels. It's as much to do with retail, has to do with BPO, has to do with ITES, has to do with airlines, has to do with banking, anything to do with customer services, because hoteliers are the most qualified people to be in the service industry. And they're the ones who actually made the change. I've also had the benefit of having been a part of an organization that was the pioneer in the BPO and the ITES industry. Not just, I mean, a pioneer in India, a very, very large setup, which is known for systems, processes, procedures. It taught me a hell of a lot as far as that industry was concerned. But that's the way you all are professionally, and that is really where you all stand in terms of future opportunity. So just because you are seeing that this is a time when everything is looking completely blurred, it's not your fault. Getting opportunities will become very difficult at this point of time, because every hotel, every airline, every retail, the industries that you're across on with, perhaps with the sole exception of IT and ITES or BPOs, they will be looking at very large scale downs, primarily because the whole way of doing business and the quantum of business would not justify having those many people to be working. And it all happens so suddenly. So everyone is taking stock. They're all doing these various workings and numbers, but it will not have the potential to be able to absorb newer people. The bigger challenges across is that even the existing people, that what do you do with them? Because they're very, very large. For example, if you look at banquets, and why I'm taking the pain of explaining across to you, because you must understand that it's really nothing to do with you. But the reality is, banquets, for example, which was F&B, for example, which was in a hotel staffing scenario, has the largest amount of manpower if you're looking at an overall total staffing, because food production, F&B service takes a very large number of people. That, at least for some time, will be very, very, very limited. Large banqueting functions, because of regulatory things and because of the scare, will be very small. Corporates will be conducting lesser amount of conferences and MICE because of the same reason. So that's the way it's going to be. So you will have to see and understand that really this is where things are going to happen. Also, technology has sort of taken things to such an extent that is going to inhibit business. The very fact that I'm on a Zoom call, the only time is to get across into these conference calls was with the office, when we had the very high definition cameras and we would sort of speak, and the other side, if we go to our board meetings and all of that. Today has become the norm. Today, for any discussion that I have to do with any of my hotels, we are doing this constantly on Zoom. So this Zoom has become, forget about just interacting with colleagues, even talking to friends, my small little group of friends who are there, whom we've not socially been meeting, but we get across onto Zoom to sort of chit chat, so that our personal lives at least have some life into it. There's some positivity into it. Likewise, so that is going to limit the number of people who may be coming in on account of work. Costs of travel is going to go up. The element of mental scale is going to go up, and that will change the way things are done. We've seen it in the past, when 9/11 happened, the security measure that came in, people got used to the new normal. I've been receiving a fair bit of calls from different places who'll be telling me that from the airport, because I travel very frequently, that the new, would you be comfortable reporting to the airport 4 hours before the flight, and if no food is served on the flight, etc., etc. Something we're not used to it. Okay, we're used to it in some form, but nobody goes to the airport 4 or 5 hours in advance before a flight. But if that's going to be the new normal, then so be it. We've got to get used to it. So you can imagine, if you're taking a morning 6 or 7 o'clock flight, you have to perhaps wake up at 1:32 in the morning to be able to get there in time, and then try to catch the flight. But then that, on the other side, brings in an opportunity that you can't do the same day up down, because if you got to go to any city, finish your work, you can't. So maybe people may need to stay across in hotels. So there may be opportunity of people to live in hotels. So these things will come, they will evolve, businesses will evolve. Eventually, life has got to go on. And my advice at this point of time is, given the delicate situation that it is in, we hope that post the 17th, a lot of hotels may become operational, some on smaller capacity limits. But once they start off, then you're transfusing a little blood into a lifeless soul. So at least, you find that the patient's eyes are blinking, he's sort of acknowledging you. So, then that brings in a positive feeling within the people, and you feel happy and you feel good. And when that positive energy comes in, I'm personally of that thought, things start building up faster. India is a very large country. We have a huge domestic demand, both on the corporate side and the leisure side. Also, what happens is that, initially you are scared of things. Gradually, that scare goes out of your mind. You start accepting it a little better. And then the thing comes, "Are chalo yaar chale. Let's risk it." It's bound to happen. Right now, also, you see, the moment friends get together, we've been in this for the last 2 months. The scare that was there at the beginning, today is not there. It's much lesser, at least. So with the new protocols and with that, all this will have to do, we'll see a new food and beverage with all protection things across all around. You'll see rooms that are going to be highly sanitized, and that, you don't do the room service and turn down service, that you have restricted number of people. You may get down to a situation where once the guest has gone into the room which has been sanitized, he does not want anybody else to come into the room. So housekeeping may become once in 3 or 4 days if he's a longer stay, or that he's staying there for 2 days. Use of bath amenities, nobody wants to be touching anything in the room. So, you at the reception, you may give him a little pouch and say, "Listen, this is yours, use it," after you've not thrown it into the dustbin, because nobody else will come and touch an unused bath amenity. Or that people had moved across because they were trying to phase out plastic. They said, "We're looking at putting dispensers even in the luxury segment." But all that is going to become history, at least for the moment. So we'll get used to the working way. And the idea is to try and help evolve or get the industry to start standing on its feet, and then opportunities will keep coming in. It is something not to be disheartened of. And my personal advice to all of you there, because you are young people, is that take on whatever opportunity you get at this stage. Don't let the opportunity go out of your hand. Keep reaching across out. Out of this, I personally feel that a lot of new entrepreneurship is going to come out of this. Your generation thinks completely out of the box. You have so much of new thinking that people of my age and of my thought, it's very hard for us to even imagine that, how things were done. When we see the world and how the OTAs have completely changed the whole structure, how the hotel reservation setup used to be. So it was an all out of the box thinking. My one of my sons is an investment banker, and he's moving out. You don't hear too many people moving out of investment banking for whatever be the various reasons, but he's moving out because he feels that investment banking will be passé. There will be a time in the immediate near future, leave aside long term. Previously, what used to take 6 or 7 investment bankers sitting over a period of 5 or 6 months and putting their minds and thoughts and legal people put together to work across on certain document of a merger and acquisition, etc. Computerization has gone to such an extent in depth, and the way the whole data and analytics have come in, that today that computer can produce the same thing which took 7 highly overpaid bankers, 4, 5, 6 months to do, perhaps we'll do it over maybe just a day or half a day, which will require very little human intervention. So these will become the new norm, and for you, and it's your generation which will start working and thinking on that. Uh, in our days, people could never think of, somebody said, "I'm going to open a pastry shop." Now, either he had a family business or he would open. But today, there are so many and so many and so many people who have opened their own, and these are hoteliers, people who just finished the hotel school. Just this morning, there is a friend of mine whose son went to Switzerland, and then obviously opportunities to work are not there. He's come back, of course. He comes from a little moneyed background. So he started doing cakes and pastries and savory items from his house. And because they're all in lockdown, I keep getting regular pictures. Believe you me, what the young boy is producing puts, and I am a hotelier. I've worked across in the top end luxury. My Sarovar is of course largely as as a company. While we have hotels in the upper upscale luxury, we are largely in the upper mid scale. Uh, haven't seen products like this. Unbelievable. Right from their savory items to their pastries. I wish I could share some pictures across. I've got them all on my phone. I said, is he producing all this? He says, yes, sitting in the house, he's doing this. The preserves. I was unbelievable. He sent me some pictures across of a strawberry preserve. Believe you me, in my life, I haven't seen a strawberry preserve of that nature. So, this is how it goes on. And I'm sure he will move across into enterprise and move things there. People who are setting up their own businesses, they will need newer thinking coming in. So look at things in that manner. But at this stage, to overcome this current vulnerability, my initial advice would be that take on whatever may come your way. Yes, most unfortunately, there will be some who may not be able to get across onto new placements and assignments. But that, unfortunately, is something which is not your doing. It's something that the whole world is affected with. There will be a large amount of attrition within the industry, but then that also brings the fact that when there is attrition of that level, the voids have to be filled in as and when the businesses start growing up, and as and when the businesses start increasing, you will need to get in more people. And a time when money is a big constraint, people look at costs. People like you will become the natural choice to look at to get you on board. So remain connected with organizations and things through whether yourselves directly or reaching out through the institute or whatever. Do it in that manner and take things forward. But think positively. These are difficult times. You all have seen it. You all have invested a lot of money in your education. Uh, I see that, especially people who are overseas, they're all doing online education, and then they turn back and they're asking questions to the universities that, this is not the sort of, we didn't pay the money, this sort of money for this. So, this is a new norm. And I do feel that electronic learning will be the norm for a while. In fact, within our hotels, we are now new safety and work protocols are coming in, and, we can't reach the hotels. So e-learning is the way that we're going forward with all our hotels, and they're all conducting these sessions across over Zoom. Content is posted across over the e-learning platform. So a person is even at a steward level today. Everybody has an iPhone. He's sitting in his house and going on the e-learning platform, so he can participate across on that. And that's the way it is. Gone are the days that I know when I used to be in the Taj hotels, we used to get people from some management program was being held, so people from all different hotels would come and somebody would conduct a program. You don't need that anymore. You can sit in your house like I'm sitting across and interacting with so many people, and putting my questions and my queries, etc., to them, and getting their feedback, getting multiple people to react. And that's going to be the new way of doing things. Of course, this is too small a time for me to touch on a whole lot of other topics, but I would, our young generation, don't give up hope. Continue on. Your positive energy is what's going to change. The good thing across of India is that, India has seen many challenges in the past. We're a very large country. We have a very large population. We have a very resilient population. We don't buckle in too easily. We may get scared initially, but at the end of the day, you say, chalo, let's go. Let's experiment with it. And that's the way they are. And that's the way the opportunities are going to come in. And that's the way we should take it forward. But do remain connected in terms of employment. with the various hotel, BPO, ITES, retail, you may feel a little disappointed because they may not be entertaining you, but persistence matters. So just remaining in touch and constantly following up, as and when opportunities come in, they will, they will keep asking. And it's not that there's been a large number of pipeline of hotels that are under development. My own company has about close to about 27 hotels. Some of them may get deferred in terms of opening, but that's really where more and more opportunities are going to keep coming in. Some of them may even open once this post-COVID thing happens, and once you feel that yes, it is now the right time to open, that will start. So then people will obviously, the recruitment process will start. But yes, it will be a challenge. Be realistic. One personal realization that I had in these last close to now, it's not 2 months as yet, count the days, is that between our wants and our needs, there's a big gap. Our needs are so small. Our wants are mammoth. And the sooner human being realizes this, the sooner Earth will return back to its normal. This is the price that we are paying, I at least believe, others may or may not, of what we've done to Earth. We have overexploited it. We have used it to such an extent, and technology is partly to blame, with all these various airwaves and different, somewhere down the line, something is being affected. Something is being affected across down there. And this is all a result of that. We've exploited Earth so much. Our scientific research makes the lifespan so much longer. Earlier, if somebody lived till the age of 60, 65, they said, "Ha, badi umar ke ho gaye." Today, it's not unusual to see people crossing the age of 90. I mean, I'm not saying it's not the odd exception. A fair bit of people make it to that age. People, by and large, expectancies move to the early 80s. But then what has happened is that it's added onto the pressure on Earth. Your natural resources that are there. We're exploiting so much of oil. You know how many millions of years it takes for oil to be made. But we can take it across out in a jiffy and convert it to petrol and petroleum products. In 100 years, we have exploited the Earth so much, which perhaps it may not have got exploited to that extent since perhaps the Earth came into existence. And that's the price that we are paying. So let us also be very, very conscious across of the fact of what we've done and the damage that we've done, and how are we going to reverse this damage to let Earth breathe. That's a little bit from my side. I will be happy to be able to answer any of your questions, queries, concerns. And if any one of you got to give any advice to the group, by all means you should, because you are the immediate future of the industry, of the service industry, not just the hotels, of the perhaps the world for that matter. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. If you want me to speak on anything else, I'd be happy to, but I'll be happier if you can put your thoughts and questions through the moderator or directly. I'm quite happy to be interacting with you youngsters. It makes me feel very good. Ritu?
Thank you, Mr. Adil. That was really nice. And it's quite heartening actually for the students, and especially a number of students who are online today who'd be graduating next year and the year after that, that apart from hotels, there'll be a number of other opportunities that possibly would come up. For example, like you said, maybe opportunities for them to become entrepreneurs, or even digital marketing for that matter. These are all areas that are going to now, opportunities that would be coming up for the students soon. One question to you: if when you recruit, you've been a hotelier for so many years now. When you recruit students, hospitality youngsters such as these students here, what are the attributes that you look for? Especially, like, we have a couple of questions asking, well, should I specialize in just one department if I were to join OCLD? How will I get selected there? What do they really look for?
Okay, let me put it this way. There are some things which are common that everybody would look for as an industry matter of common, and there's some things that are going to be organizational specific. So the most important thing in our industry, and this is across irrespective of which chain, which brand you have, to be in the hotel industry, you have to be having it within you that you serve from your heart. There is no such thing as a mechanical service. If you want to do mechanical service, then hotels is perhaps not the most appropriate line. I wouldn't say not the best option, but not the most appropriate line. The reason I say this is that service is something that comes from the heart. You must have that element of feeling within yourself, whether it is towards your customer. Of course, we all keep our focus only to the customer, which means the customer who's coming and paying you money, but an equal amount of feeling towards your various colleagues, because this is a people intensive industry. So you must have the same set of feelings across for them. And unless you don't deliver it from the heart, you will never be able to give it your very best. That is one of the most important attributes to see. There was a time when those who were in the luxury segment, they're very conscious about those who were working in the front of the house. What was their physical appearance like? How well did they speak their language? How well did they carry themselves? That's important today. But when you have a permanent face mask, I don't know if some of you have been seeing the WhatsApp joke that's going across on. They said, don't fall in love so easily because you don't know what may be behind. So I think those will all change. The third is that you must have that spontaneous thinking, that when something happens, because this old word which is there of the moment of truth, uh, ours is one industry where you directly interact with the end customer. There is not a multiple checking layer that comes across in that you manufacture, your immediate junior supervisor checks it, and then post that the quality surveyor checks it. After that, there's a manager that checks it. Then there is a sample, and it doesn't happen before it reaches the customer. In case you are, say, for example, in working in food and beverage or at the reception, you are the direct interface with the guest, and you are a young person of 21 years of age who perhaps will be interacting with somebody who's perhaps the number one of a few thousand crore turnover organization. So it's that spontaneous reaction. You could be very dumb and looking at him at his face and completely get enamored that, oh, so and so's come, and you suddenly, your skeleton is on one side and your flesh is on one side, that I met so and so and kamal ho gaya. So it's not that. You just must and take him, nice, polite, but don't get overawed by it. You should be as much awed by any other customer as by someone there. So that's how you sort of think spontaneously. You got to be a little street smart, because this is the service industry, and react spontaneously. But if you don't have that element of feeling for your customer, whether internal or external, then the hotel as an industry may not be the best option. Yes, you can look at things like a BPO, etc., where you're sitting behind a computer, but not certainly where you have a human one-to-one face interaction. Those of you who are on like food and beverages, high element of creativity is very important, and you must have the passion to cook food. You've got to be passionate in whatever you're doing, and that doesn't only go for in F&B. Passion goes for irrespective of whichever profession that you are in, whether you are in the profession of being an engineer, whether you're in the profession of being a housekeeping. I'll give you a small example. Babe, when I got my first posting when I was with the overheaders in Bombay, we used to have this public area houseman who used to keep from morning till the evening, keep working on his own individually without even talking to anyone, and constantly doing something or the other. Constantly throughout the shift, he wouldn't even talk to a second person. But what he used to do when he used to clean, he used to do it with so much of passion that, once in a while, we were all very young, we sort of walk in there and see that what the very hell has he been doing, trying to clean. He's been taking this little mop and cleaning this across with, as if, he was sort of polishing silver. Yeah? And you realize, you run your finger through that, bloody hell, by virtue of his daily cleaning, even that surface is so sort of smooth and slippery. So I said, boy, that's what passion is all about. People who are in the production side, you can come out with all kinds of innovative presentations, all kinds of innovative tastes, all kinds of innovation in terms of food combination, all sorts of things. The new mantra, though, is going to be that how efficiently can you dole out things that can be delivered to your doorstep and still maintain the overall quality of the food. Because if you're doing a grilled item and if you're having one of the Zomatos or Swiggy's delivering it, you know that it's going to lose in its taste, in its texture. Or if you're sending French fries, would there be some substitute that you may be able to do? So these are all ways and means of where your innovation is going to come. Keep experimenting and then take it through. That's what passion is all about, that you just keep involved with it, don't get demoralized with what it is, and keep taking things forward.
Great. Thank you very much. Since we have a couple of other questions, 2, 3 other questions. One is, will the change in the tax structure affect the F&B, the food and beverage part of the hotel? Is the largest sector for such taxes.
Yeah.
Will it affect? How will it change?
See, food and beverage taxation has been, and in the revised thing became 5%. So I don't think F&B is such an expensive proposition anymore. So I don't think that's, but what is going to change is the way food and beverage business was done. Because people going out and dining, at least for some time till that whole phobia doesn't come out, may not move to that much of an extent. Since people have got used to, and food be delivered will be the new business opportunity. We never used to hear, upscale hotels. If I talk of the Taj, my corporate chef was sharing menus. Taj Mahal Hotel Bombay is doing home delivery now from the Shamiana menu. You have the Leela here in Gurgaon. That's from the Spectra. They're doing home delivery of favorites. We in 5-star deluxe hotels in London would never even remotely think that you do home delivery. Home delivery is meant for your small shops across on. And whoever thought that McDonald's will do home delivery, but they're doing home delivery because the need of the hour is such if you have to compete. So if the bigger guys and bigger chains started doing it, so that's become the new normal. Otherwise, if you went to one of these upper upscale luxury chains and said, how about starting home delivery? They look at you and laugh, saying, "Are you out of your mind? What rubbish you're talking? We're into fine dining." But fine dining is history, because when you're going to be sitting on fine dining with a sheet of plexiglass in front of you, where all you can do is maybe just look at your opposite counterpart's face, it's no more fine anymore. And when you're so scared that the guy who's putting the food in front of you, whether it is free of a virus or for COVID. So, that is how things evolve. And those who come out with nice presentations, food content and quality is maintained, and it can be delivered at your doorstep, that may become the new normal. You all fall, there may be far more newer things coming in. We used to hear of bento boxes across on in a lot of Japanese and Chinese food that they were doing. But then that was more for these delivery boys. Today in the hotel, they're looking at actually using bento boxes to do in-room dining, because you're not wanting to have that direct interface with the guest. So a person takes it, food is being left, and he doesn't have to be a patient. It's going to be left across outside the room on a table, and he then helps himself, takes the food across inside. Everything is disposable. So that's the new norm, and it may change. Once one second, I want to call that. Once you move across on this, then that will become the new norm. I think I've lost the voice there.
I'm sorry. Yes. So there's another question which says that, could we see specialty chefs going in for food preparation into the customer's place, or is that still a very far-fetched concept?
Sorry, would you just repeat that and just
would
clarify?
Chefs be going over to the place, say guest houses and all, to prepare food and to cook, or is that still a very far-fetched concept?
That would or may happen, because, as I said, that it's a matter of opportunity. And if it becomes that if somebody is, with a well-known chef, if somebody is doing, and somebody is wanting to pay, why should you not give up on that opportunity? You have to exploit. You've got to see your earnings. Why not? And if you carry a certain brand name onto yourself, like, of course, in your case, students are perhaps from all over. But I remember in our good old days and the Marwari weddings, even the upscale Marwari wedding, they would want the catering to be done by Munna Maharaj. Now, I was new to Calcutta, and I was getting into the hotel industry after a long gap. And I said, who allows Munna Maharaj to come and work? And never used to allow him to come into the hotel. But you still had to permit a few of his items to be allowed to be brought in. And these are people who are paying crores of rupees across and holding functions to yourself. So just because the name matters. So I think that will become the norm. And today you don't have to be a celebrity chef to be invited to the house. If you've got a good hand, take it from me. It will go a long way to be able to establish yourself. You look at how it's been with bartenders. People invite bartenders for the private functions and pay them a lot of money, because that's showmanship, and that's the way it is. And there will be more and more smaller private parties, because that's the way people will do so. Those who want to socialize, because this large socializing across being done at large banqueting facilities, or you're doing a private party, will gradually become lesser and lesser. You'd like to have smaller groups of people till such time as your people start accepting this, and the scare is out of your mind and you'll move out. So yes, certainly there'll be an opportunity. There will be an opportunity. People may want people in the service industry to come to the home and may be able to do so with the same level. They do it even now. Private parties, they call up hotels and say, can you cater? And you charge a bomb of money. So likewise, those who are trying to be entrepreneurs can even look at creating that company and say, I have the manpower, I have the expertise, I have the training, they're all health certified, I monitor the standards, I'm training them, they can come to your place and cater to a function. I have the equipment, I can do that. So it's a one-stop shop. I had a batchmate of mine at the Oberoi Hotel, who was doing the kitchen training program, called Puneet Sikand. And when Puneet finished across, for a short while, he worked across in the hotels, but then he went on to doing his own thing. Today, Puneet is one of the biggest names of doing private catering. He is one of the most sought after, charges the highest, or maybe there's a few others who charge of that category. Even hotels can't afford to think of charging that sort of money. But that's the level that he has reached, and it's because of his passion of food. And that's the way it's been. So you got to just think and pursue your passion. In the course of it, there will be some hiccups. Not everything translates into a success. There are successes, there are failures, but that's a part of life. So not everybody can, when you start your professional career, not everybody makes it to the top. As when you move from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to level 4, more and more people keep getting dropped out, or they move across to other businesses. But someone eventually makes it to the top. So just pursue your passion.
Right. Absolutely. Wonderful. So we have a couple of questions. How do we prepare ourselves? What are the things that we should keep in mind? And if we specialize in front office, can we still become general managers?
Certainly, why not? I don't think today is the age and time that we used to talk in our days that, he is a specialist in F&B, and that's why he has become a general manager, or he's a rooms division specialist. It doesn't matter. The higher you go up, it is your managerial skill that matters. And managerial skill in today's age and time is how savvy are you on technology? How savvy are you across in handling your internal resources? How savvy are you in being able to do your financial planning? How savvy would you be in being able to handle the external customer? How visible are you externally? These things all eventually take you across to where it is, because the higher you go, the more responsible you are for deliverance of top lines and bottom lines. So you eventually have to become a finance person. You should know how to be able to control your costs, to be able to think innovatively. Yes, your department heads are there, they will give you the inputs, but eventually the buck stops with you, because you can't, the HOD can still look forward to you, but you only have yourself to look at, or maybe some friends of yours in the industry whom you can trust with and take their inputs. So, and technology is going to play a big role, big role, because you're a business manager at the end of the day. You have to run a business like it is your business, it is your money. That's what companies or individual owners will be expecting out of you.
Right. What is the absolute new trend that might have surprised you in the lockdown days?
I'm sorry, I lost your voice in the middle for a second. I think there was
the new trends. What are the new trends that you've seen that have come up now? Or what are the new trends? In fact, lockdown is still on. I guess the new trends that would possibly be implemented in hotels.
Right. Yeah. One is that since people have been working from homes, a lot of new trends have emerged across for what was initially being done across in hotels. Dining, for one, has brought a new trend across of food coming onto your house. How this is going to change and translate across of new trends in the hotels. Hotels will become extremely health and safety conscious, to the element that even hospitals, I see that at least when they open up, there will be that sort of hospital kind of aura around the place. You suddenly will find that you're stopping at one particular post, and there's one big poster saying, and then asking you to do, then you're peering into a machine which is showing you some little red color, and you're wondering, I hope this, that it's showing my temperature is normal and not showing more, because otherwise I'll be diverted to the other direction and say, please, potential COVID patient to move to the left, others move to the right. So those will be, and at every stage you'll be finding some instruction being given across to you. We're not used to all this. The whole idea of hotel, this was that people didn't even want to have, they'd come across straight, you give them the key, they get escorted to the room, somebody carries their bags, takes them across up. That's the way luxury was. That's all history. He doesn't want to interact with as many people, give him his key, he goes up himself to his room. He will not be allowed to go up with anybody anyway, and he does everything himself. So those will be the new normal. This thing about people-to-people interaction. We used to believe, guest relations, executives, and meeting and escorting into that. That's all history now, even in the luxury segment. So the new normal is make it as basic, as simple, as little people-to-people interaction, and up they go. That's the new normal. And that will be for some time till people get used to it. Maybe things may change. When you're sitting in the restaurant, you're sitting with close friends, you want to be sitting close together. But now if you've got to maintain a 6 feet distance between each, you'll be like, and especially if you've got a little partition across in the middle, I don't know whether it's worthwhile, the interaction, other than seeing somebody's face sort of, opening and closing, and he's shouting at the top of his voice to get his message across because there's a plastic shield between him and you. And you can't even have holes in that bit perforated for his voice to carry to you, because God forbid his breath or something, if you're a corona carrier, that he said, it's coming into my mouth. And you'll start seeing, the new thing you'll start seeing is everybody's got a mask on their face. So if somebody was thinking that, I'm going into and seeing a lot of nice, good, smart ladies and gentlemen across in hotels, well, other than possibly the height and the physique, maybe the rest of it will all be behind masks now. So those will be the new norms. Lesser amount of interaction, to the point, least amount of interactivity with the guests, everything being done electronically. And that's the way it is. And yet be able to deliver what he wants.
Absolutely. That was really interesting, Mr. Adil, and thank you so much for taking time out. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Mansoor Adil, and we are speaking with him, who's the Senior Vice President of Sarovar Hotels and Resorts. Thank you, Mr. Adil. A few parting words, any advice to the aspiring hoteliers?
Well, one advice is continue thinking positively. Don't give up hope. These are unusual times, no doubt. Everybody is affected. I can assure you, right from people at the topmost level like myself to the person who's the most vulnerable, who's at the bottom of a hierarchy chain, everybody is affected. It's a very difficult time. It's a very trying time, but continue thinking positively. The more we think positively, the more positive thought comes into our mind, we will have that much of more positive energy on ourselves. And believe you me, I am in a very strong believer that it will attract lots more positivity to yourself, lots more confidence is going to come across into everyone. Because if I am talking to you and if I'm conveying a positive message, a lot of you may be sort of down and demoralized and depressed will say, hey, hang on, this is not the end of the world. So that's the way it should be, and keep it that way.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Adil. That was really interesting. You shared a lot of insight with these youngsters, with the young students, hospitality students. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a wonderful day. And we're signing out.
All the very best.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Adil.
all the very best to all of you. God bless you. Do well. Okay, and don't give up hope. That's the way life is. Okay. Thanks, Ritu. Thank you so much for having me on. Bye.
Yes, sir. Great. And we're signing out of the IIHM Kolkata studio. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day ahead.